back to defense, put him at our outside linebacker, the hog position, and he kind of looked at me at first, wasn't all that excited. Talked to him and Mom, and he made a transition and probably had as good a practice on Thursday as he's had in his career here. Just really excited about that move. A lot of good plays out there again today. Moved Michael Taylor from outside backer down into the defensive end position. He took to that really well. He tried it as a stand-up guy for us, but that wasn't where his heart was, and it actually really performed a lot better once we moved him. So that's there. Carl Rossler, obviously, we moved out to outside backer 2 weeks ago, and that's went well as well. Other than that, that's probably it from about positional changes. Continued to rotate some guys around in the offensive line. Got Paul Ramirez back with us at tackle, and he worked both left and right. Frank worked today because it wasn't a scrimmage. It was nice to see that 1-0 line out there working together. So excited about that. And we got really all phases of the game in now. Kids have really been locked in well. I think the Tuesday's practice, I backed off one helmet, so we were only out on the field for about 15 periods. And to be quite honest, that was probably one of our worst practices of the year, and it was really because I think our guys enjoy practicing in pads. You know, we were in helmets only. That naturally slowed them down a little bit and challenged them to have a great Thursday and Saturday, and did that. So now we go into our last week. We'll have a pretty intense practice on Tuesday, Thursday, probably go halfback, and then Saturday, the spring game scrimmage. So we'll see where it goes from there. Other than that, open it up. What's that? Yep, Blake's back from extreme timeout. He did a really nice job Tuesday. Actually punted the ball well today. We were inside, but he hit the ball really well on Tuesday. So I think he also sent me a nice message and delivered some things. I think maturity-wise, if he can hold them up, could be one of the best things that happened to him.
You kind of had Eugene all over the map.
Yeah,
Where do you have
good point. Nate, we moved him to outside backer. He's playing to the field, outside backer, and really has played pretty well. I think that's probably a natural position for him. You know, he was a former safety in high school, and just bless him. He's a pleasing soul, does a lot. Probably one of the more conscientious guys on our team, and I'm liking what I see. I think him and Randy could be a nice little tandem out to the field there.
What kind of improvement have you seen from Michael Taylor this spring?
You know, I like what Mike has done. You know, he's a guy. When we had our January meeting, I kind of challenged him. Hey, this is a time where you're either going to go forward or you're going to go backwards. You got a great opportunity. We lost a lot of senior players at that position, and he really has stepped up. He's caught the ball well. He still has some moments that he's got to get better mentally, just knowing what we're doing and converting certain things. But I think overall, you would say he probably has had a good spring.
Hey, what will Jonathan Man's status?
Yeah, good point.
Day status?
Yep, great point. Jonathan actually practiced a little bit Tuesday, a lot on Thursday, and was full go today. So he's back out there, probably a little faster than we thought. And then J-Day's out there, but again, he's probably about 75, 80%, you know, and I just want to see that kid. You know, he's been unfortunately banged up here or there. You know, every time he makes a step forward, he tends to get a little something banged up injury-wise. So he's had a great attitude. He's working, and hopefully he'll be able to go full go by next Saturday. Yeah, he just banged it up.
You mentioned Paul Ramirez. Who else on the offensive line stands out?
Well, you know what? Johnny Gibson, to be quite honest. You know, I think as a coach, I always assess where we're at and where we're going, and he's a guy that I really want to put the screws to, maturity-wise and development-wise, and he's had a really good spring. He actually just gave fifth quarter cheer and gave a message to the guys that I thought was really, you know, he's thinking right. Yelda has continued to make really good strides. I think Yelda is going to be a very improved player from what you saw a year ago. I think he could be a very special player after his career, you know, when his career is done here. B-Wall unfortunately banged up his, just had a bruise on his arm, so he's been a little bit limited this week, but he made some strides. And then Zach Rogers, again, he's kind of like a Swiss Army knife, you know, he can use him for everything. He does all kinds of great things, great effort, very intelligent. I'm excited about his growth. Who's one right tackle if Wallace isn't in there? Well, Paul Ramirez took the majority of the reps there today. Dalton Wagner is probably, of the three guys that you know, came in, he's the one that showed the most probably possibility of playing next year as a true freshman. He gets it. He's intelligent. He's tough. He's gifted. So he's been working there as well as a number two.
Since we won't get you before the red-white game, do you have a format in mind, kind of how you think that's
Yep. We'll go ones against the world. Somewhat we'd be done. We actually, well, obviously you guys saw us. The scrimmages will go all that one way, you know. So the flow of the scrimmage will be a little bit unique in that regards, but the ones will be, and all their traditional scoring and all the twos or the threes when they're in there against the ones, their scores will double. We'll have a rapid-fire field goal at the end of the first and into the third quarter. First half, I plan on being pretty good, traditional football, and we'll see where we're at halftime and make some adjustments and go from there.
How much has spring practice eradicated kind of the way the season ended last year?
Yeah, I think first, when we came back in January, I said these are the lessons we had to learn. We can't ignore them like they weren't there. We can't act like they didn't happen, and they have to do things to turn a negative to a positive. So we really stress to our guys, and they have been. They've been in very eager group. They're hungry. They're very coachable. I think this group, it was kind of fun to have a couple coaches in here last month or so that a good buddy of mine, Troy Calhoun from Air Force, came in, and to always hear another head coach come in and say some things that they observe as positive, and there's been some other guys that have come through just physically. I had a coach from Pittsburgh in the other day that I admire and respect greatly that made kind of the same comment, just the way our guys look, act, and practice. So I think they're positive things. It's not something we bring up daily, but there's definitely, it's there.
Brett said he wanted to see no turnovers from the running backs the rest of the way, so how did that go?
It was pretty good, to be honest. I don't think I've ever seen anybody take off on a lap today, so I don't think there was one ball on the ground. Been pretty conscientious about it. We did a pretty high intense ball security drill right after break today when they're tired. That was what we stressed and moved that ball security drill to the end of practice, so they have to do it when they're tired. And then on Thursday we actually flipped. Offensive players went down and worked on defense, and defensive players went down and worked with the offensive coaches. So the offensive coaches taught our defensive guys ball security, how to secure a ball after a catch, tip ball drill, and then on defense, the defensive coaches taught the offensive players 2 tackle circuits, and then a ball recovery drill when the ball's on the ground, how to properly recover it. So it's kind of been a fun week for us there.
Do you think Raleigh and Devlock could be maybe one of the better tandems in the country next year? And what do they need to be there?
Well, obviously we work on the SEC. I think if you're one of the best in the SEC, you got a chance to be the best in the country. And those 2 guys, man, they're very gifted. Raleigh probably has shown me that he's got a little bit more patience than we've ever seen, and that's a good thing on the wider plays. Devil, as we all know, is very gifted. I tell you, a guy that's been very impressive has been Malik Williams. He's a tough, probably a little bit more thicker running back, but he's had a really nice spring as well. Those 3 guys, in addition to J-Day, and we'll see where Chase Hammond or when Chase Hayden comes in.
You back off those guys in the spring game at all? They carry a lot of
Raleigh and Devois.
and
They got to get good at football. I don't think. Now, maybe after the first half, we might make some adjustments. But again, I think first half football, the only guy that I'll probably limit in any regard will be J. Red and Frank. J. Red was back out there running around today as well. He's not fully cleared, but he was out there running.
I know with all these spring games on TV now, coaches don't want to show a whole lot. But what are you hoping to show the fans or whoever?
I think they're going to see the improvement of certain guys. I think offensively, Austin's throwing the ball really well. They don't know any of our wide receivers, so to see new guys, Brandon Martin and Jonathan Nance, and the development of Michael Petway and Deion Stewart has been very, very significant. I think that's good. I think they'll like Malik Williams, and everybody gets excited with the new running back. I think the number 2 quarterback has been a lot of fun to watch. Both Ty and Cole do some really good things, and then they'll have one of their moments and got to grow from it. But I thought Ty today was very, very efficient, made a nice ball down the field, and like where he's going. But it's going to be fun to watch that 2 quarterback battle out. And then on defense, just to get a look at the 3-4, we probably won't, bring a large number of pressures or change-ups, but they'll see how we line up, and you'll see guys making plays. It's been fun to watch this group, especially some of the younger guys playing new positions coming to their own.
You feel you're on schedule as far as the installation and everything?
Yeah, we've probably backed off a little bit this last week just because we want to get good at what we've been doing. But next week we're doing a lot of scout work, working against opponents that are on our schedule that we don't run somewhere offense has, and we've gone 2 periods each day, so 20 minutes work out of an hour and 45-minute practice is pretty significant. So we've been doing a lot of that work, and it's been fun to watch that part. But I know we'll kind of take a moment. Paul and I have a pretty good throttle on what we want to get through these first 5 weeks, and we'll kind of look where we're at the end of spring ball.
Will both the backup quarterbacks get some work with the first team?
I would probably let Austin take the entire first half unless something changing my mind, and they would take all the twos, and then I probably, if I'm a betting man, I might remove Austin, fairly early in the second half, and not all of it. He's a very good player.
Could you project Armando Austin potentially be a starter next year?
I Tom, you guys obviously have been around the program. He hasn't done anything significant to this point, and he's just been one of those guys. I've always really liked his demeanor, his attitude. When we recruited him, I thought, here's a big guy. He's 310 pounds, 315 pounds now. He threw a guy down today in one-on-ones, was very impressive. He used his hands. He was going against Colton. He's got a lot of power, and yeah, I could see him being a starter and if not a guy who played a significant amount of time.
So did Michael Taylor go to his side or behind?
Mike was over kind of on that left side. I got Sosa, Briston, and Michael, kind of all similar guys, those guys that are kind of quick twitch and similar body type, similar skill set. The right side has just been a little bit bigger now in the fall. We'll obviously have our best three and then our next best three and so forth, but just getting those guys familiar right now is what the main goal has been.
How has Randy looked this spring, and what's it been like for you to sort of watch him
Randy Ramsey?
grow over the last
Yeah,
year?
Randy Ramsey, right? Yeah, absolutely. Two things. We had our academic meeting on Thursday, and he's set to have the best academic semester of his career. And I don't think that happens by chance. I think he's taken a huge step in maturity. He came to my office the other day, and there was an opportunity for extra credit, and he went to that. I mean, just maturity-wise, I've seen him take a big step, and he's an intense guy. He goes out there and likes the game, I think. But he's a guy that I really feel can have a big jump in the fall, and a guy that athletically he's got a knack for rushing the passer, that's for sure. He's got very, very long arms. He's a long athlete that's got good power and can run, so I'm excited.
In the fall, you were excited about Rito. What have you seen?
Yeah, we've limited him the first week. Rito didn't scrimmage in the first scrimmage, but we let him scrimmage after that, and he's long for a corner. He is I think a diligent guy. He wants to get out there. He knows that he's got to take advantage of his reps and his opportunity. I think him and Nate Dalton have got a lot. They're battling out for that number 4, number 5 corner spot.
The offensive line improves with age, doesn't
I think they just improve a practice. I think Kurt does a tremendous job. He's really got their ear. I always major a coach by what he makes a senior who's a pretty good player become. And I thought the growth and development of Dan Skipper, and now I'm seeing it in Frank Ragnow. I'm seeing it in Yelder for Holt. I'm seeing it in Johnny Gibson. I'm seeing it in Colton Jackson's had a nice spring. Again, Brian Wallace has done some good things. He's got to keep coming along. But Paul Ramirez took a big step, even after coming back from the funeral of his grandmother. He's real close to. So I like what that group's doing. Dion Malone is another guy that Dylan Hayes is a guy that probably could help us in certain regards. And again, Zach Rogers, just a jack of all trades. It's fun to watch that group work. Jake's been doing a nice job. He's kind of been that ambidextrous guy as well. We popped him out at guard, popped him in at tackle. He's playing center. Unfortunately, today he did have a little, not a serious injury, but we had to hold him out today, and should be back on Tuesday. But again, another guy, he's a pleaser. He's put on about 15, 20 pounds. I think we covered that once in here as well. But I just think he's trying, and I like his attitude.
How would you evaluate Kyrie Fisher's spring so far?
Yeah, Kyrie's been fun, man. He's first as a linebacker coach. I'm an old linebacker coach. He loves the game. He loves contact. He's not afraid to hit people. Very explosive player. Has made some nice run-throughs. One bad habit we're trying to break out of him is a lot of his family were out there today. He has a tendency. I think he was able to do it in high school. He runs behind some blocks when he feels that he can't get over the top where we need him. He'll duck under and run. And obviously the players here are a lot faster. So he's making strides in that regard in playing within the scheme. But he's a nice asset to the program. He's a fun guy to watch.
You think Sprinkle might be the first guy off the board for you guys? Who all do you think might get that?
I'd say it's been kind of a mixed bag. I've gotten calls on Keon Hatcher, Drew Morgan. I've gotten calls on Cody Hauser, who's having a little pro day on Monday. I had a call last week, a couple calls on Sprink, Skipper. I think some of these guys are unique markets, like the team that probably grabbed Sprink is someone that traditionally uses a tight end like we do. That I'd be shocked if it wasn't someone that's in that traditional. I know it's kind of buyer's remorse, just because obviously there's a couple good tight ends in this draft, but You know, I keep thinking Hunter's probably better than all. It was just amazing to see that there might be 2-3 tight ends going that first round where Hunter would have been. You know, I'd be surprised too. There's some people that like Ledbetter and Wise. And again, there's I think a guy like Brooks Ellis. He's so conscientious. He can play so many different positions. He might be a guy that somebody really likes and grabs him in the 4th or 5th. You know, so it'll be interesting.
Smith was talking about how y'all's red line game is the latest to the SEC,
Mhm.
how that's helping you get a lot of people.
Yeah, you know, I kind of stumbled into that during my time at the other place. We develop our kids a little bit longer. I really believe in an 8-week winter program, which always puts our spring game as one of the last. And I think there's 4 or 5 today, right? I know that I saw some games on last night, so I think it will. We've got a good crew lined up. We had a good recruiting weekend this weekend, and then next weekend will be really a nice. We've kind of made a huge emphasis in that, especially with our class that's just signed with us coming in as well.
You know, the games are pretty vanilla, you know, across the board. How important are they to a program?
You mean spring games?
I mean, having them televised, just having them.
Yeah, well, it's exposure. You know, we've tried to do some every year to kind of spice it up a little bit. I know it's not quite the same for the fans, you know, as far as a regular game day atmosphere. But if you're a fan and you love it, and you're a parent, you don't get to see your kid all that much play out there. It's a big deal. I think the reason I go ones against the world is I want that continuity to develop. So our one offense, our one defense works against each other. I don't vary from that too often. And I think that's a positive step for that unit. But again, it's just kind of a glorified practice for us.
Okay, did you see where Louisville didn't, Petrino didn't allow any video of their spring game at all?
I don't think I should comment on anything. Thanks for starting to fire it up. I appreciate it.
Thanks, guys.
Appreciate it.
Had to have one more.